Hi there, I'm Cameron, and I don't just read comics, sometimes I play them. This week on Cameron Reads Comics, we're going to be talking about the Avengers video game released on September 4th, 2020. This is part 2 in a 3-part series celebrating the Avengers. So, if you haven't listened to last week's episode on Avengers Disassembled, I would highly recommend checking that out. Now, I'm not much of a video game connoisseur, so I invited my friend Jesse Watson, who's way more into video games than anyone I know, to talk about this release. So, this time, he brings me some questions about the game, and we talk about our overall experience. As always, there's spoilers ahead for the Avengers video game, so you've been warned. And remember to go follow Cameron Reads Comics on Instagram, and maybe leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Now, here is our video game review on Marvel's The Avengers.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, Cameron. What's up, bud?
What is up? Okay, Jesse, today's episode, as our listeners know, is going to be different than previous episodes that we've done because I don't play very many video games. Therefore, I'm not an expert on this. You are my resident video game expert. So I have very few questions. You said you could come up with some questions for me, so we're just gonna go for it.
We're just gonna ping pong some things back and forth. We'll see how it plays out. You know, we like talking about video games.
Yeah,
and we like talking about comic books.
Yeah,
it's a comic book video game.
Here we are, best of both worlds.
I want to start out actually by saying that it more than a comic book video game. It felt more like a comic book movie video game. There goes a motorcycle. There goes like 10 of them.
Are hearing the notorious Pacific Coast Highway. We are recording this in Sunset Beach, California, at the world famous Canvas by Cape and Surf Shop.
Anyways, right? It didn't, to me. We'll get into some stuff, but just right off the bat, because we're just spitballing here. It felt like it was a video game version of one of the movies, rather than a video game based off of the comics.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was like it felt, because actually at this point in time, this week, actually, they just cast Kamala Khan for her own miniseries that was announced like 2 years ago it's a Disney Plus series, not a miniseries, but at SDCC they announced it, and now they actually have the cast, and so I feel like this was almost like a soft launch for that character into the public eye.
It did seem like that. I wasn't that familiar with Kamala as a character. I mean, I knew who she was. Mm-hmm. But that's where it ended. She's Miss Marvel. Knew nothing else. So that being said, the first impressions of the game, obviously, I mean, what did you think? I mean, right off the bat.
Right off the bat, I liked it because I collect hardcovers, omnibuses, and so I read the Ms. Marvel omnibus when it came out, so I probably read the first 15, 20 issues of her solo series, and even since her first appearance. So I like that character. I think she's very accessible. And another thing, too, to recognize is that you and I are not necessarily the target audience for that character. You know what I mean? That's for young girls and especially young Muslim girls. So it's very cool to have an accessible character like that. Personally, I thought the very, very intro was kind of laggy because I'm like, why am I running around Avengers Island or whatever?
So the correct terminology wouldn't be laggy, because when you say laggy in the video game world, you're talking about the game literally stuttering. It's lagging, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not working. I know what you meant. It was slow.
Yeah. I felt like the intro was kind of slow, and I'm like, okay, overall, first thoughts on the game itself. It was kind of fun. I thought the graphics were great, and
I just meant particularly about that the first portion of the game. Jumping in and having to play as Kamala for a very long time.
Yeah, it was okay, but as an Avengers game, I'm like, I want to play as Iron Man so bad right now.
Right, so bad. I thought it was a great introduction to having her, because every game is going to give you the your token walkthrough. Like, here's the buttons we press to do certain stuff. So having her walk around the Avengers Day event was better than a lot of other
motorcycle.
A lot of other very basic intros. So I thought it was done well, but you definitely played her for far too long.
Yeah, and especially kind of getting into into the helicarrier, or I forget what it's called, but I was like, okay, well, it felt like the first half of the game, or the campaign was just the first half of the game. I was like, okay, now we assembled all of the Avengers, and that's the entire campaign. I was like, okay, let's do some cool stuff with it. And yeah, we fought MODOK, but I wanted more, I think.
Speaking of MODOK, what did you think of him as the villain?
I don't know. I've always thought of him as a humorous character. I'm not very well versed, but I'm once they said the villain was AIM, so advanced idea mechanics, that lab.
Is that his shit?
Yeah,
I'm not very versed in.
I was looking it up as I was playing the game, so with him being the villain and that being the group, I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm kind of glad we had a more serious take on the character.
Is that? I mean, was it? I don't know, because I know his character from the books when I was younger, and he when you say he's funny, he's funny looking.
He's funny looking.
He's a giant head.
And literally that's his character, It's all the action figures and a lot of the animated stuff that they do with him. His voice in the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes animated show was Gilbert Godfrey. So very high pitched and annoying, and they've never quite taken him seriously, and so this was a more serious take, which I enjoyed, but he was kind of silly, and it made him more serious, which I appreciated.
But was most of his character progression throughout the game, was that pretty canon?
I would assume so. I don't
know either. I have no idea.
But the funny thing about Ms. Marvel's character is that it's half canon and it half isn't, because one of the biggest things about her is she is an Inhuman, and she came out at a time when they were not taking the Inhumans very seriously, or they were trying to make them way bigger of a deal than they are, because weird X-Men Fox rights stuff, and so they're really doing a big push on Inhumans, and she became the most famous non-Inhuman Inhuman, because when you think of the formal proper Inhumans, you're thinking of the people that live on the moon, and Black Bolt and Medusa and all those people, and being exposed to the Terrigen Mist is a rite of passage for them. It's what they do when you're 13, and it decides whether or not you are high in society or low in society.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, that's the Inhumans whole deal.
Oh, hold on. So the actual Inhumans, the group, the Inhumans,
yeah,
they actually have to not inject themselves,
they
sniff the Terrigen Mist.
The
come
royal
in and smell this little green fart that I've got in a canister for you.
That's exactly it.
I did not know that.
And so, unfortunately, go watch the pilot episode of the Inhumans TV show. That was one season and terrible.
Yeah.
They kind of go over it in that. I didn't even watch the whole series, but the first episode kind of explains it really well. But, so in some event story arc, they exposed the entire, Manhattan to it, and to the Terrigen Mist, to try and make everyone an Inhuman. I don't remember what the heck. But Kamala is one of those people that gets powers from it, and so she's technically an Inhuman, but her origin in this game is not quite that, and I think it worked a little bit better anyways.
But she got hit with the fart gas.
Yeah, she got hit with the Terrigen Mist, but it wasn't tied into some comic book event or...
Right, it was Avengers Day.
Yeah, exactly, and I was like, actually, I have a question for you.
Yeah!
Comparing A-Day to our most recent read, Avengers Disassembled, how did you feel about that? Those events going side by side. Did you see the influence?
The influence as far as the end of that book?
Yeah.
Because they're not having an Avengers Day at the beginning of that book.
I just mean all of the for all intents and purposes, the Avengers get disassembled because of what happens on A-Day.
Oh, right. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the parallels are there for sure, especially when the fighting starts to happen at the end. It's very similar.
Yeah, and like
I thought you just meant like the event itself, and then at the end of that book, it's disassembled when like the crowd's there, and they're like, "Yay, Avengers!"
did they even do that this time in the movie or in the video game?
And well, in the video game, the like event at the beginning is like kind of the "Yay, Avengers."
Yeah. Okay, wait. I never even asked you. What were your thoughts? First initial thoughts in the game?
Well, I wanted to get your thoughts as like a non-gamer guy.
Yeah, it was cool. I don't know. The game was cool. Like it was fun, and I had fun playing it. But I don't know. I didn't love it.
I thought the game you have to break it up into two parts. You gotta give it, part one is the campaign and the single player, missions, which I thought they hit a lot of good high notes along the way. There was some missions that weren't very great, but as a single player like campaign, playing as Kamala for a little bit too long that was whatever. I really enjoyed her as one of the characters. Voice acting was good. The graphics were good in game. There was a lot of bugs in this game, which I said it during our last episode. I thought they were going to work them out. They didn't. There was dudes getting caught in the floors. There was people missing faces. There's hair and the cutscenes not looking like it should. They have since patched it, and I don't know if that helped. But, whatever. The game as a whole, not as a whole, but the game as a single-player campaign, a 10-hour single-player campaign, it was good.
Yeah.
If you are looking for just a single story-driven single-player game and you like the Avengers and you want to be a hero, yeah, it's worth a play. It's worth a playthrough. But unfortunately, with this game, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it. Basically, they're not trying to make it an MMORPG, which is massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Mm-hmm. That's a mouthful.
I was like, that was a lot of letters.
Because there's not that much of a massive multiplayer universe when you're playing multiplayer. It's basically just you and 3 other buddies or randoms. So I think what they were trying to make it into is an action looter. Action looters, you're playing the game and you're getting loot the entire time, mm-hmm. right? Because they had it to where you have the 4 pieces. You've got like the melee weapon, the ranged weapon, the defense. Like, when you go to the character screen, you got the defense thing, which by the way for Hulk was like just his rib cage. Like you're just upgrading his rib cage. Like what is that about? And then the last one was like the heroic it was heroic. It was like their heroic power. So in a game, so the game they're trying to be most like is Destiny.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that in my list of favorite games when we talked last. It is definitely the game that I have played the longest over time. I've played that game for years and years and years. And the reason I played that game for years and years and years is you have the same type of thing. It's an action looter. You've got a character. It's a first-person shooter. But you've got your 3 weapons, and you've got a helmet, a chest piece, arms, and legs. So what they get right is when you equip the headpiece or the chest piece or the arms, the legs that you like with the right stats, it changes the way that your character looks. And for me, looking cool is like, dude, it's almost the top. Like I want the game to play well, but I want to look cool. Like I want to look super cool, right? Yeah. And so what they do in that game is you're grinding for the loot because you want to make your character look cool, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what Avengers gets wrong is you're grinding for these pieces and they don't do anything aesthetically. Like
really,
nothing changes.
Right. You're right.
Nothing changes. Now they have outfits for each character. There's about 20 outfits for each character. Most of the skins you can find organically through the world. Some of them are locked behind some very, very high level missions, and you've got to grind your ass off to get there. And some of them you got to pay $10 for. Not a big deal, again, a lot of people hate that, but if you really like the outfit, you want to pay $10, that's fine. But they fail there because once you're done with the campaign, which is a good campaign, it's like, I feel like it's 1/3 of the game. And then the other 2/3 of the game are grinding to get to the end level or the end game, the actual end game. And the actual end game, I know you and I didn't play too much multiplayer, but what happens is It's just the same static missions over and over and over and over
Yeah.
and over and over and over. If you jump in there and try to play with people, man, like it's the same aim, like dungeon basically. You go into aim, you kill a bunch of dudes, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again, and you're supposed to be doing it to get loot. But when the loot doesn't change the way you look, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I totally agree.
So,
And then that was probably my biggest critique in the entire game is every campaign I just felt like I was doing the same thing over and over and over.
there were some really cool set pieces. The space mission with Tony,
Oh,
when he's
yeah.
got to go get Cap. We're spoiling this, right?
Yeah, it's all spoilers.
Yeah, okay. And it doesn't really matter that much. It's
It
not like
doesn't.
mind blowing. But when he's got to go get Cap, and of course you get Cap, he's like on the home screen. You can't kill him and then like use him as a main character, right?
Right.
But when he goes up to get Cap in the space station, that was a super cool mission, right? And they're like running through the space station and the shit's moving in like Inception. It's like
Yeah.
folding in on itself. Like I thought that was fun. And I also like those missions where they had you start as a character and then switch halfway through to a different character.
Yeah, especially that mission was one of them.
Yeah, that was one of them. That was a cool mission. That's the other thing too that bothered me. There wasn't enough. You could on most of the missions you could change your character at any point, but there was never any clear direction. Like, hey, you can go and change your character if you want to play this Black Widow mission. She'll be one of the AIs. She'll be one of your partners. But if you want to play it as Hulk, go ahead.
Yeah.
You could, but it doesn't like organically tell you that you can. Because it's funny. I think I mentioned playing the beta. I enjoyed playing Hulk. I enjoyed playing Black Widow. I think I said Thor was okay. And now after playing it, Hulk was my least favorite.
Really?
I liked playing the flying guys. So playing Iron Man and Thor was awesome.
Yeah.
Playing Cap and Black Widow was awesome. Because you got to, melee and, whatever. But Hulk was all right. I liked Bruce Banner as a story-driven character through the campaign because him and Kamala's like chemistry was really cool.
Yeah.
I liked their storyline. But when he hulked out, I was just like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah, and Bruce Banner actually in this game was kind of revealed to me as he's a complex character. You know,
He is.
I feel like, I think you saw very tangibly and like directly throughout the campaign and story. Like he feels guilty. Just about everything surrounding him. You know what I mean? When he gets to like Hulk out, it always kind of ends in destruction, and he's just like he never wants to do it, and it's like I don't know. I just thought it was very telling about who he is, and he's like, I think his arc throughout, I guess, when I think about it right now, his arc throughout the story, I think was the most, it made the most sense, and I thought it was actually probably one of the more interesting ones.
It was interesting, and his relationship with Kamala as well. I mean, there was a lot of times where he was, like when he upset her, and he had to go check on her, and then he didn't really know how to check on her because he's never had to deal with a teenage girl before.
Yeah.
So it was, there was a lot of moments like that where you're like, oh, like that's like a really cool, like human moment between a young girl that's trying to figure out what her powers are and a dude that turns into a giant green guy that smashes the shit out of everything.
Yeah, and like one of the biggest Hulk things too, like central arcs about Hulk, and you'll hear when he's like rampaging is like Hulk just wants to be like left alone.
Yeah.
And so a lot of his stories are like, okay, Hulk wants to be left alone. He finally becomes alone, and then he gets lonely, and he like realizes that's not what he wants. And so him with Kamala was kind of it's similar to what you're saying is very much, I don't know how to interact with people, and maybe that's the central part of me that I got to figure out. And I also really, really love that they made him like smart, because I feel like people don't recognize Bruce Banner as intelligent. And I really recommend the Mark Waid Hulk run, the Indestructible Hulk, because they kind of give him his balls back, because he's like,
Wait, they took his balls?
Well, Hulk
Like they neutered him?
pretty much.
Oh man, I feel for the guy.
You see those metal shorts? You think those are comfy?
I like that they gave him the cool metal shorts and they gave him like metal fists too.
Yeah.
Like Stark gave him like cool like Iron Man hands,
Like gauntlets?
Gauntlets, yeah.
That's sick.
It was
I don't
sick.
even remember. I similar to you, I didn't play with the Hulk very much at all.
It was funny because I didn't notice that when I was playing as him, but you got to fly into the missions on the Quinjet, and they automatically populate your 4-player team, whether you have friends or real people or not. And he's sitting down, and it's funny because he's always kind of like he's always kind of sitting on the ground because he's too big in the Quinjet, and he was sitting there and he has his hand on his like hip, and I was like, oh, he's got cool gauntlets. I said gloves, but gauntlets is the correct thing.
I'm a big gamer.
Lick it, buddy. Who was your favorite character?
I don't know. Because actually I really do think that they did a great job making everyone playable.
Okay, let me reword that. Who did you have the most fun playing with?
It's either Thor or Iron Man.
Because they could fly.
The flying guys, but also Iron Man had missiles, and like I am just everything surrounding Mjolnir I'm just right now obsessed with.
So one of my favorite things is throwing Mjolnir and having to call it back.
Yes.
You have to. The coolest thing, guys, is you get to chuck his hammer, but when the hammer hits somebody, it pins them to the wall, and then you can run over and just beat the piss out of them because the hammer's stuck on him. So to get the hammer to come back, you've got to hit the button again, and then as it's flying back, it's just causing destruction. It's super cool. What's not super cool is the way that they use Thor throughout the story. He was just kind of there.
Yeah, exactly. And like I thought the mission where we got him back was actually really fun because you really got to go like insane with the hammer and everything. But like they really didn't tell you whatever happened to him because I feel like we had a clear thing. And for those that like read the comics, he comes back as Donald Blake, which is his like alias.
Did he have that on his name tag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Donald Blake is like a doctor and like
It said Dr. Blake on his name tag.
Yeah, he's like so Thor obviously in his original appearances didn't just like be Thor all the time. When he came to Earth, he would like transform into Dr. Donald Blake and Jane Foster, like Natalie
Do you
Portman.
mean transform as in like Loki transform, or he didn't look like Thor anymore?
Kind of. He'd just be a scrawny blonde guy. And so like nurse Jane Foster, who's like Natalie Portman in the movies, would like assist him, and that's how they kind of fell in love. And then Mjolnir would transform into like a cane.
Huh.
And that's kind of the early Thor stuff. So that it was, I don't know, it never really showed what he was up to, though.
Is that in Endgame? When he goes and talks to Doctor Strange and he's got the umbrella?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Is that Mjolnir? Is the umbrella, is that what it is?
Could be, yeah.
And he's got like the biker clothes on? Or does he have biker clothes? I don't know.
Are you talking about, I think you're talking about Thor Ragnarok.
Is it Ragnarok?
Yeah, because Endgame he was Big Lebowski Thor.
They all get a little, oh yeah, that's right. They get a little bit muddled together there at the end.
Well,
I love Ragnarok. I love it.
Yeah,
It's
there's
great.
only 20.
No, but he's... does he talk to Doctor Strange in Ragnarok?
Yeah. Yeah, because remember...
I watched that movie like 10 times, too.
Well, that was like the first one after Doctor Strange, I think. And that was the post-credit scene of Doctor Strange. Is him talking to Thor.
No, they're on the street and he's got an umbrella, man.
He's there on the street. Yeah, he has an umbrella, and they're looking at where they left Odin.
Glad we cleared that up.
And then Loki falls in the hole for a while.
Glad we cleared that up.
And he gets so
correct. You are correct.
What a great film.
It is a great film. Check it out. Where was I going to go with that? What were we talking about?
Who was your favorite player? That's the follow-up question.
I've been playing a lot with Thor. So here's the thing. You got levels. You got power levels. You've got... you got a power level, and then you have a level, right? So the level cap is 50. I think I'm currently at like 20. And then your power levels cap is 130. It's called a soft cap, but you can get it up to 150. But you see these games, man, you got to grind your ass off. And they don't tell you how to do it. And I can explain that to everybody if they want to hear it. But I'm just saying I've got Thor to the highest level, which means I've been playing with him the most. But did you notice how you have to infuse your gear to level it up to make your level higher? You
to get rid of some gear to...
You get rid of the gear, but then when you go and check that piece of gear, it says that you can level it up.
Yeah, boost
right?
it. I would boost it, but I didn't know what that did.
So in these games, if anybody wants to play and they really want to get through and get to the higher levels, and I'll tell you why you might want to do that here in a minute, you basically want to play through the campaign. You want to get all the gear to the like campaign end level, which is around level 20, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't want to start boosting it. You just kind of want to grind some missions to get it up. And then once you get around level gear that's dropping at around level 30, you want to boost that stuff up quick so you can level up fast. So you're going to want to spend all those materials. And the thing is, I wrote it down. They've got a lot of materials, man. There's nanotubes, plasma, Uru fragments, like that's 4 of them, right? And there's like 10. So you got to use those materials to boost your gear. And the reason you want to boost your gear is you can literally take a piece of 30 material and you can boost it from 30 to 45 and go from a level 30 to a level 40 within seconds just by boosting it. But you wouldn't want to do that too early, because when you do that too early, you waste all your materials.
Okay.
And games like this, I know it sounds confusing. It's a full inventory management, and it sounds confusing, but that's how you get to the higher level. And if you don't do that, it takes so long, and it's such a slog. Bummer. They should tell players how to do it, and they kind of do it, but there's never a clear way. And I've played plenty of these games. You know?
That was I was at a disadvantage. Kind of. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to level up, but I don't know what this means. And like I'm coming. Actually, funny enough, I'm playing this game as a really right off the heels of I just finished Batman Arkham Knight. So I was like, I did that whole arc, and I was like, wow, this is such a great game. I really hope Avengers is good. And it's just like an entirely different form of gameplay. It
is an entirely different game. Like I said, that's a solo player campaign where they put all their, like resources towards making that story and the way that game's tone and feel looked conducive to the solo player.
Absolutely.
This game, I think after you're done with the campaign, they really want you to play with friends. But man, it's so recycled, and it's such a bummer that you don't want to play it. I tried. I this whole week I've been like going back into it and like trying to level up and hoping that it would get better, because I'm like looking at these like in-game. They're basically called like raids, like the thing that you're gonna do at the end when you're super powerful and you got all the pieces that you want and you can put on. You're not gonna get the customization that I love so much, because you get the skin that you want, right? Okay, cool. You want to go in there and you want to try to beat these raids with these bosses, but man, I looked. It's like you got to be level like 120.
Yeah.
Or like power level 120. I'm not even close. I'm like 50 at best, right?
Oh,
like,
really?
and you can't go in. They're not even accessible unless you're near that power level, because you'll get hammered. Like,
that happened to me. I tried to play this one level a million times.
One shot, you're dead. Like, you were dead one shot.
Yeah. I was wondering why I kept dying so quick, and I'm like,
because you suck.
Yeah, that was why. I was like, wow, I thought I was kind of good at this game, and I'm sucking it the whole time.
So with a lot of these action looters, man, they always fall into the same type of thing, whether it's been Destiny at first or Warframe or Diablo. They always misstep, and they realize they don't get the loot game correct, right? Mm-hmm. It's an easy fix. You can fix it with patches. And the good thing is these games usually get supported for years. And I'm assuming that that's what's going to happen with this game. So would I recommend buying this game right now? If you really love the Avengers and you want to play solo, yes. Otherwise, wait until they've got some patches and they've updated it. And I got a list of characters that was data mined from the beta. They're going to put a lot of time into this game, right? So the next character that's being released later this month is Kate Bishop.
Hawkeye's like sidekick girl who became Hawkeye. That's awesome.
Right. And she looks like Hawkeye. She's purple with a bow and arrow, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to release Kate Bishop, and they're free. The way that they're going to get you. And so a game that's going to be supported for years, right? They need you to microtransact, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to buy the game, or the game's going to become free to play at some point. So the way that they fund keeping the servers up and running is microtransactions. So you don't have to pay for these characters, which is totally awesome, but you have to pay for their skins. There's no way to get these skins for these characters like there is for the other 6 characters, which you can get organically. But listen to this list, man. This is how many players they're going to add. I'm assuming in the next year: Ant-Man, Wasp, Vision, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Falcon. These are all playable.
That's awesome.
Marvel, Mockingbird. No idea who she is.
Mockingbird's sick.
Her, she, him.
She.
I'm just thinking like Black Canary,
She's interesting. Yeah.
So Mockingbird, Quake, again. Who's Quake?
Did you ever watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Nope.
Well, she's on that show.
Okay.
She's Brian Michael Bendis.
All right. Winter Soldier, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, and War Machine.
I love She-Hulk and War Machine. Honestly, I think he had me ever since, like, I was in 6th grade probably when I found out who War Machine was, and he had the big turret on his shoulder, and I'm like, that's all I want.
Yeah.
That's all I want in my life.
I mean, his name's War Machine, too. That's the coolest thing ever. I mean, honestly, War Machine is probably going to be the one after Kate Bishop because he's just a reskin of Iron Man. I mean, how
Really,
hard?
yeah.
I mean, how hard is that for a programmer to be like,
even
let's just
She-Hulk.
give him another color palette and put some turrets on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Done, right? Call it a day. But that's a lot of playable characters. I mean, that's triple the size of the original cast.
Yeah, you're totally right.
You know, so I think what they want to do, and I think if they were smart, what they would do is pull it from a 4-player, because all you can play right now is 4 players in the open world. Kind of expand the world, and I don't know this for sure. Expand the open world and then have more public events where instead of just you and 3 other buddies, the world is populated with other superheroes.
Yeah.
But I think the problem right now is you can't do that because there's only 6 playable characters. Is it 6 or 5? There's 6 of them, right?
I think it's 6. Yeah, it's the 4 main guys with 2 women.
Thor, Hulk, Tony.
Yeah, it's 6.
Yeah, it's 6. You can't have a server with, let's just say, 12 people, and you come across 2 Black Widows, or you come across 2 Thors. That's weird. It takes away right? Like you can't. You're like, oh wait, there's another Iron Man. Everyone knows there's not 2 Iron Mans. But whereas another game like Destiny, where if you run across another Warlock class or another Hunter class, you're like, cool, there's another Hunter. And they probably don't look anything like you because you can customize the shit out of your guy. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Customization, dude. You need to be able to customize your character.
Well, I'm like, then I guess my question to you was, couldn't you have 2 Iron Mans if like one's rocking like, because they did the original Sin armor or what the all new Marvel Now armor, which is like yellow and black with the red eyes.
Okay,
like, couldn't you
buddy.
do that or no?
Okay, buddy. You can do it with Iron Man. How are you going to do it with Hulk?
I'm like, no, I really
because
don't.
Red Hulk and Green Hulk and the Gray Hulk and like
They didn't even put Red Hulk in. That should be a player.
so. Okay,
that's the easiest.
So on the data mined list, there was a Red Hulk, but people thought that he was going to be a villain.
He should be, but also no.
So that's the other thing. There's 2 villains, and they. Did you play through all the like missions, like where you fought Taskmaster again?
No.
See, you didn't even finish the game.
I tried.
So you fight Taskmaster again, and then you fight Abomination again.
Yeah.
The Abomination fight was cool.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
And I like Abomination.
And the other cool thing about that whole thing was like Hulk beats the snot out of him. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, damn, he damn near. Is he dead? I think he's dead. I think he done killed him, man.
The Hulk villains are actually all super cool.
Check it out. You can go into multiplayer. You can grind through the just the most recycled levels ever. Sorry, pulled my mic away. The most recycled levels ever. But there's 2 boss fights. That's cool.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with these games, man. They know that you have to grind. They know that you have to grind. The levels can't be the same. I don't mind playing Destiny and fighting the same bosses, but the bosses, there's a ton of them, and they're all unique, and they have their own gameplay mechanic. Like, you fight Abomination, and you make your way to the top of a building, and you fight Abomination.
Is that?
Cool.
I didn't do that fight then.
It's a multiplayer one. And you're like, cool, this is great. It's also super bugged, because you can just Hulk bust, and when you do the Hulk Buster armor, you can literally punch Abomination off the top of the building, and he automatically dies.
Oh, he's for sure dead.
Yeah, no, I mean, but he's got, the fight's supposed to take 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
With 4 people. But when you can just Hulk bust and literally knock him off the building, that's a problem with the game. The game's glitched. That's not supposed to be there. You're not supposed to just boot him off. You just boop him. Boop. There you go. Right? So that was cool. That was a cool moment until I played the next one, and it was the same exact mission, but instead of Abomination on the top of the building, it was Taskmaster. And you're like, oh, great, cool. This is just the same mission with just the 2 bosses that they have. Hopefully that they can change that and add more bosses and just vary it up, because right now it's very stale to play. It's super hard to play.
Yeah. How did you like the iconic missions? Because I don't know. I played the ones that were mandatory, and I'm trying to get Kamala Khan, but I just don't even know how to level her up. And so I only have like the really cool Stark suit, and then I have her really crappy suit, and I just want the average one.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? How was that?
So the iconic missions are basically once you're done with the campaign, not even done with the campaign, you can do them in the middle of the campaign. You focus on that one character. So if you want to do Thor's iconic missions, it's focused just on Thor, and they're super fun, but they only have them for Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, and Cap. Iron Man and Kamala don't have one.
Yeah.
Their iconic mission is literally like go and beat up 50 dudes and use your like what's her whammy bammy biggie thingy? Embiggening.
Close enough.
It's kind of silly. She's a silly character, isn't she?
But she's young and fun.
And she's floppy.
She's a big goopy goop.
She's a big floppy wiener.
Cameron Reads Comics as an entity does not subscribe to that philosophy.
I'm sorry. It's a little off-putting. She's like silly putty, man.
You know, she also though like
silly putty is a good analogy.
She wasn't my least favorite character to play with though.
No, actually she was not my. She's very easy to play with, and to me, she's the most fleshed out of all the characters in the entire campaign.
Yeah, I thought her arc was also really, really, really well done.
I really like Thor because he would jump in and say funny stuff, but he just wasn't around enough. Like when he says something about MODOK's head, he's like, "What's wrong with his head?" I was like, "Yeah, boy, look how big that thing is."
That's so funny. I didn't remember that.
You fought him at least, right?
I probably did. Yeah, I fought MODOK. Yeah, I beat the campaign.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but you didn't really beat the campaign because you can keep playing.
Jesse and I were arguing about this. We recorded the last episode a while ago, but Jesse and I we were arguing about this because he is a perfectionist, and I'm like, okay, let's bust out, like, let's record this thing, and he's like, no, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm the type of gamer that gets sidetracked with all the side missions. I think the word that Cameron was looking for was completionist. I like to do everything, and my problem is like I should probably go back and do those things instead of doing them as I'm playing the actual campaign, but I can't help myself, man. It's like ADD and shit.
Absolutely.
Anyways. You know, the game was what it was, and I have high hopes that it will get better over time. Most of these games do. Some of them have become literally my all-time favorite games.
Great.
Like Destiny is one of my favorite games. I play it still to this day, but once again, I'm chasing a carrot. So if no one's ever played these action looters, They base it off of colors, your loot, right? White's the basic one. Green's the next level up. Blue's the next level up. Purple's the legendary gear that you're going to get and use kitted most of the time. And then they have the gold exotic armor, weapons, stuff like that. This game's no different. Exotic is gold. But when I'm playing Destiny and I'm chasing that exotic gun, I know that gun is going to be like an in-game gun and give me an advantage either when I'm playing player versus player or when I'm playing player versus element. Like grinding and chasing that carrot, and that's what keeps you coming back, because you want to come back and get that like kind of like holy grail Excalibur gun.
Yeah.
There's not, I mean, you can't get like, there's no weapon.
I'm like trying to think of like for Thor it'd be like Stormbreaker.
Yeah. And if they do that, awesome.
Yeah.
But right now, that's not even a possibility. It's not even in the game for them to like have you change a weapon. But
yeah,
that's my hopes that they actually flesh it out more. And I think that they will. I mean, Crystal Dynamics, I believe, is the studio that does it. And I mean, they do the Tomb Raider games and everything. Like they know what they're doing. It's not just a random, indie studio doing it. But I don't know.
Me neither. I'm like, apparently I didn't even play this game. But okay, Jesse.
Well, you played it. You just scratched like, it's like you have a lottery ticket, and like you scratched off the winning numbers, but then you didn't scratch off anything else, so you don't even know if you won.
I don't even. That's true. I agree. I don't know. So going back, okay, with campaign, or maybe we should break this up to you. But we always rate everything we consume out of 10.
You absolutely have to rate this in two different parts. Okay. You have to rate it in campaign, like solo campaign.
Yeah.
And it's when you go into the the main menu, it has the Avengers.
Yeah. Campaign, and then it says Avengers Initiative.
What is it called? And is the initiative the campaign?
I mean, Initiative's the multiplayer.
The multiplayer. So it says Avengers Initiative, and then Avengers Assembled is the campaign.
Yeah.
So it literally, the Avengers Assemble, the campaign is one part, and then the multiplayer is a whole nother part. You want me to rate it?
Yeah,
You want to hear
each part.
You want
each
to hear
part.
the rating, man?
Yeah.
So if we're talking about just the campaign, it's a solid playthrough. It's fun. If you enjoy Avengers and if you enjoy melee-based beat-em-up games, which are a little bit more nuanced, though, like you definitely had to block, right? Like you had to learn how to block and dodge and stuff. Otherwise, you were just going to get smashed.
That was me.
You didn't learn how to block?
I had to literally. I played the game on easy, and it was like it
gosh.
kept reminding me
Guys.
They were like, "Hey, make sure to turn the difficulty down," and I'm like, "I can't."
Yeah, you cannot do it. Did you play the harm rooms?
I only played Kamala's and Iron Man's.
Oh, Cameron, the harm rooms taught you how to play the game.
But I get it. Like I'm like, okay, now I know B is to block or B is to dodge, and then like R. We played Xbox, so like RT is like to.
We did play the
shield
game
up.
on Xbox. I played it on Xbox One X. It looked fantastic. The game looked fantastic running. When you were in game, it looked fantastic. For some odd reason, the cutscenes, which in most games always look better, looked like shit. The hair was always off. The faces were weird. Ugh, it was weird, man.
Yeah, a lot of my people didn't have hair.
Yeah, it didn't have hair, or it was like floating like weird spaghetti, and you're like, what's wrong with their hair, man?
Like, what is this pasta party they are having?
But I also didn't mention too the progression for the characters. When you go in and you like use your skill points, there's a lot. Like I'm leveled up quite a bit, and I haven't even got into the third tree of unlocking their skills.
Is that like the super mega bonus skills?
Yeah, because basically, like when you got like, let's just use Captain America's like Brooklyn Brawler, like
Yeah.
where he can Brooklyn Brawl and he can heal himself. The more people he beats up and throws his shield at, like he heals and gets more powerful and more powerful. If you get to the end of his tree, you can just do that forever. You basically make him invincible. Mm-hmm. That is if you're playing by yourself. If you're playing with buddies, because you have to keep killing people to keep that up. If you're playing with buddies and Cameron steals my kill, he's gonna screw up my Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh,
So
that's a thing?
yeah,
I don't know it's like the social,
yeah,
I
and
guess,
so,
the manners.
yeah, it's weird too, man. Because this game it's supposed to have a multiplayer content there, and a lot of these games. I'm gonna go back to Destiny because they don't hold your hand. The person that holds your hand is a friend. So Cameron's never played Destiny. If he wants to come play Destiny with me, I'm going to have to literally Sherpa him and like teach him how to do everything because the game will not explain it. And you mess with people for a little while and let them do it on their own, but then you show them like how to do things, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's class based. You would want Captain America to be a brawler. You would want Kamala to be the healer. You'd want Hulk to be the tank, but within those trees, you can still make Hulk a tank, which means he's the guy that's going to take all the damage, but you can also have healing elements for him if you wanted to. And that's where the game would shine if people had the chance to get leveled up to there. It's just such a slog to get leveled up. That being said, let's rate it. Campaign, solid 7.
Okay.
Which is, now my 7 rating on a video game is different from my 7 rating on the comic book. 7's a solid comic book. I enjoyed the read. 7 video game, it's totally playable. Like it's an average playthrough. It's not great, but it's not horrible.
Okay.
It's totally playable. The multiplayer's busted. It's like a 4.5.
Okay.
So that brings the whole score down of the entire game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, if you want to average it,
if we're averaging it, the game's the way that it is right now, it's a 6.
Yeah, it's like 5.5, 6.
Yeah, it's like a 6, dude. Okay. Very, very solid campaign. Very lackluster. Like, it's such a slog that I don't even want to play with friends. I don't care.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, unless I had, see the games that get you, they want you to grind. Like, they want you to get out there and grind, but there's nothing to grind for. If I can't look cool, what do I have?
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Like, and I don't know, my rating, because I didn't play, for the listeners, if you don't know by now, I didn't play any multiplayer, but also that's on me because I don't have a headset.
We tried to play a bunch. But no Mike Cameron. I mean, what am I just going to be over there talking to myself? I mean, I don't mind talking to myself at all. I do it a lot.
I feel like I'd just piss you off so much if
I'd be like, Cameron, go right. And he's like flying off to the left. I'm like, Cameron. That's the other thing. When you are playing with random, I played with a bunch of random strangers. It's fine, but no one uses mics. a lot of these games have ping systems where you can drop a pin, right?
Oh, really?
You can tell them like, "Hey, dummy, we're going here."
Oh,
There's
like
no,
on Fortnite.
yes, but
I played Fortnite, guys. That's like I have no video gaming.
but it's forgivable. But there's no pin system on this game, which would be super helpful. But they'll add it one day maybe. So if anybody wants to go pick this game up because they love the Avengers, you'll like playing it. If anybody is interested in playing it and they want to play with some buddies, or if they want to play with Cameron and I at some point, I would wait.
Yeah. I really don't know how much more of this game I'm going to be playing.
No, you won't. You won't. But at some point in the near future, maybe 6 months, maybe a month, they've already been a couple patches. I might say, hey, Cameron, you got to go back to this game and play it again. Mm-hmm. It happens quite often with these action looters. Like, it sucks, and then all of a sudden they update, and you're like, this game's way better than it was at launch. And it's funny because I think that they need that player feedback to fix it.
Yeah.
People always say, well, why didn't they just do it at launch? Well, they needed everybody to bitch and complain and see what was broken about it to update it. And that pisses a lot of people off. But hey, man, it is what it is.
Also, on those people, you don't have to buy it when it first comes out anyways.
No. And that's the people that bitch about microtransactions, too. Like, you like that skin? I bet you like it. Do you like it enough for $5? No? Well, then don't buy it. It's $5. Buy it if you like it.
Yeah, and I don't know, personally, here's a whole nother... for Fortnite, that's literally how they make money.
That's how they make the money. That's how the game is supported.
Yeah, that game is free. Otherwise, like, it's the microtransactions, which is like revolutionary, la la la. But, anyways, we don't have to get into that. But I'm like, yeah.
The other thing that I didn't mention is there is, the Fortnite Battle Pass. If anybody's familiar with the Fortnite Battle Pass, it's you pay the $10, you battle pass your way through, you get unlocks. This game has the Battle Pass already unlocked for the 6 characters. So as you're playing, they're giving you skins, they're giving you header cards, they're giving you like finishing moves, they're giving you, emotes. That's great. They're going to give you these other characters, Black Panther, for free. They'll give you Black Panther for free, but his Battle Pass won't be unlocked. You'll have to pay $10. Seems fair to me. If you want to play Black Panther and see if you like him first, he's free. That's great. You might hate the way he plays. So you play him, then you don't buy his Battle Pass. No big deal.
Pretty inconsequential. My campaign rating, honestly, probably one of the first times I'm lower than my guest. I'd give it the whole game because of what I played, a 6. Because
fair.
I just didn't want to smash robots the whole time. I'm like, give me, and maybe that's unfair, but like, as the minimal, maybe take this with a grain of salt. You probably will anyways, but that's me with my games anyways.
That's Cameron playing on easy, so all the robots were the same to him. He didn't even have to do anything other than smash the buttons.
I'm like, why is this purple ninja robot coming at me like this?
Yeah, man, and those purple ninja robots were a pain in the ass. You had to dodge.
God.
You had to dodge. You had to use, because when you use the dodge button, they do like special, they do the, like Thor like shoots lightning out of his butt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it's like you have to time the parries and the dodges, but it is what it is.
You live and you learn, and I learned, and so I learned that I think I'm a bigger fan of the Arkham franchise than this current Avengers franchise.
Cameron learned that he just isn't a gamer.
I also learned I need a microphone.
Yeah,
I learned that. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic
because I could have helped you out.
I'm like, I have 2 mics right here, but I don't have a microphone for my video games.
It is.
And
it is what it is, man.
That's me. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for being on the Cameron Reads Comics podcast, or I suppose on this episode of the Jesse Plays Video Games podcast that we are officially calling it. Make sure everyone to go follow Cameron Reads Comics on Instagram. Go follow Canvas by Caton Surf Shop on Instagram, or it's Caton Surf Shop on Instagram.
It's Caton_Surf Shop.
Go follow us to see me and Jesse in our prime, and we will smell you guys.
Wait, hold on, dude. We'll be back next week.
Oh, you're right. Oh, we'll be back next week for the inevitable House of M. That's actually more timely than ever because of the newest WandaVision trailer. So, be there or be square. House of M is coming soon.
Peace.